Good morning, and good morning, guys. Welcome to another fabulous episode, yes, of Exit Strategies Radio Show. Hey, I'm your host. Y'all know who I is. Corwin J. Millett, broker and owner of Exit Realty, Low Country Group, in beautiful, guys, beautiful North Charleston, South Carolina. Hey, today's episode, guys, I'm super duper excited. It is rare that you meet someone who has the passion for people that our guest today has. There are often times when the passion is limited to just a particular direction or what have you. But when you're working with and in what I say is the attainable housing realm, when you want to create housing options for people that did not believe there were housing options that existed at all for them, hey, this is the kind of person that you want in your corner. So today I'm super excited to introduce, quote unquote, hold on, she got to pay me for this. I got to figure out how I'm going to bill her for this. But Shakelia LeBlanc with Premier Nationwide Lending. Shakelia, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Yes, I'm going to have to throw you something for that introduction.
Look, that was all on the spot. So once I get that thing refined, now look here, I'm gonna be stroking. You have to stroke a nice little check to send back over for that one right there.
Have to carry you around in my pocket to say, oh, here comes Quarantine to introduce Shakelia.
Awesome. So thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to be here on the show with us. So if you don't mind, let our folks know who you are. Introduce yourself. Who are you? What got you here? And what do you do?
Absolutely. So again, I'm Shakelia LeBlanc. I am a licensed loan officer. I am licensed in South Carolina, Georgia, and Florida. I am from the Sunshine State. So I'm from South Florida, but I've lived and called Charleston my home for about 10 years now. I help people who want to be homeowners. As you said, I have a passion for it, and I really do. My background is in nonprofit, and I worked actually in financial stability with Trident United Way here in the Low Country. And so I help people move from beyond their basic needs to obtaining and sustaining their assets, which included home ownership. So I'm really big on education and then going out myself and doing outreach for my clients. So for anyone that's looking to be a homeowner, we know the new year is coming. So anyone looking to be a homeowner over the next year, I am happy to help.
Awesome. Well, that kind of lend to parts of what we may get an opportunity to talk about today. But you are, someone who sees the picture differently. And your background obviously is a testament to that. Starting, quote unquote, or coming through, if you will, the trenches from the nonprofit world, where it was about service, to the individual, how to get them, quote unquote, to the next phase and the next step. That's huge. That is huge. So bringing that over into, quote unquote, this side, and we know this side is not a a nonprofit arena, but bringing it over here on this side and having that same mindset and mentality, obviously is taking you a lot of places. So let's kind of talk about, you've been doing this, and so let's talk about the challenges, like, if you don't mind, that you've been encountering or seeing people encounter, so we can kind of talk about preparation.
Yes.
Today, I think that's a word right there, preparation.
Okay.
Yeah. So hold on. Let me sit back because I might mess around and lean right on in. Hold on. Our pastor, you look here. I had a pastor one time. I thought about him this past weekend. CB Black. Oh, look here. That dude, when he preached, man, that dude be sweating. He got to carry. It just gave me a flashback. But if you don't mind, can I tell listeners, let's talk about preparation. What do they need to know? What are the challenges out here, and how do they overcome them?
Well, I would say, as far as preparation, honestly, and I'm being completely honest, especially if we want to take it to church, they always say the battle always starts. You said we can go there?
Yeah.
The battle always starts in the mind, right? So really wrapping your head around and being persistent if you have decided that you want to become a homeowner, that battle and the process actually starts with you, whether you're writing it down or speaking with your children, whomever it is, that you are going to be a homeowner, and then taking those steps to make it happen. So obviously, one of the first steps would be speaking to a professional, not to your neighbor, not to your cousin. Speak to a professional who does this day in and out, hear their feedback, and then do two things after you speak with them. Trust them. If you went and you spoke to a professional, to someone that you know who's working in this business day in and out, you got to trust them and you have to listen to what they say and apply those things. So that's number one. Number two, obviously, if you want to be a homeowner, you got to be organized, because as a lender, I'm going to be asking you for a number of documents. And a lot of times, sometimes the holdup in the process is just getting some of those documents. People can't find their taxes, they can't find their W-2s, or they say they already sent it to me, but they sent me their W-2s, not their taxes. And so starting a file where you are organizing those important tax paperwork, and they're not just important for buying a home, they're important for life. So you want to really start a file, whether it's a paper file or a file on your computer or jump drive, and start organizing your documents. And then, of course, number three, starting the process, starting a lot of time. And I talk to clients, and the number one thing that's actually stopping them is fear. So, fear of the unknown, fear of things they've heard, of myths. They're literally telling themselves no. They're not even giving me an opportunity to say, not right now. They have already told themselves, I can't do this because I heard this or I heard this. And so, stop trying to know yourself out of being a homeowner and let me show you how it can happen. So,
I like that what you just said. Stop knowing yourself out of, because that is very, very true. As an observation, professionally and personally, how we'll do that, and we'll let other people know us out.
mm-hmm.
It's impressive to me. It is extreme. People will talk you out of doing something that they're afraid of doing themselves.
Yep.
You know, somebody tell you that somebody that's scared of heights will tell you not to go skydiving because they're afraid of heights. But you
Exactly.
may you may get invigorated from the thrill of it all, but they'll
Yeah.
talk you out of doing it. We have that same thing on home ownership side. I'll say this and stop, but we have the same thing on home ownership side. People are talking people out of financial freedom, out of wealth generation. They're talking them out of it because they're afraid of, or they can't envision themselves being financially free
Yep.
or creating wealth in their own lives. And we have got to stop that from taking root. Like you said, it's all mindset. So,
Exactly.
so what else can people do? And hold on. And our subject for today is preparation. That's what
Preparation.
preparation. Yes, that's what we're doing. We're preparing people. Yes. So what else do we do?
So, other things that you can do is think about what we're going to be evaluating during the lending process and prepare those things. So, the things that we're looking at, the things that I look at, the underwriter is going to look at is number one, obviously, your credit. So, we're looking at your credit and not just the score, we're looking at the profile. So you want to make sure you understand your scores. There's a number of scores out there. You can look to a lender to get your actual mortgage score, or you can go to like myfico.com is the only one that I know that will actually show you your actual mortgage scores. But just know where you stand, right? Just don't go out here and not know kind of what's been happening on your profile for the last couple of years. I'll pull someone's credit and I'm going over the credit with them, and I'm sharing with them things that they seemingly have no idea about. And that is always so surprising to me, that I am sharing with you what's happening in your life. And so that's where I want them to start. Like, just take a look at your credit, go to annualcreditreport.com. And while it won't show you a score, it will tell you what's going on. It will tell you if you forgot to make a payment 2 months ago, because you need to know these things and you need to be prepared. for them. So we're looking at credit, make your payments on time. A lot of times people, they come and they want to know how to improve their credit score. The number one thing I tell people is make their payments on time. That is the thing that sounds like it's common sense, but it really is the answer. It's number one, paying on time. Don't get any late payments. Don't let anything go to collections. And then number two, we all mostly know to do those things, but also don't let your balances reach your limit. So if you have $1,000 credit limit, you shouldn't be using $999 of that 1,000. And that is so important. And I tell you, Corin, people don't realize that as much as we think they may do. And so 35% of your credit score is going to be, are you making your payments on time? But the next thing right under that at 30% is credit utilization. That means if you're, over that 30%, you're at 40 or 50%, your credit score is dropped. And I'm talking about 70, 60 points drop. And you'll notice once you pay it down to under that 30%, your credit score increases. So if you're doing that every month, your credit score can just be probably down or going up and down. And so pay your bills on time and then keep your credit credit utilization low.
That's funny you should say that. So I'm gonna take you back. So you're talking about, having the conversation with people, sharing, their report. And in my head, I heard, wait a minute. I don't remember buying no car.
Exactly.
Like, wait a minute. Is that
what?
Who bought a car? But,
oh yeah, I did. I remember now.
But the other part of it though, and what you're talking about, the utilization, I know you get this because this is what I get. Well, I pay my bills on time. Okay, well, but your credit card is maxed out, or this one is over the limit. Well, my credit limit is 1,000, but I owe my bill is like 1,100 because I'm over the limit. I keep getting over limit fees. Yeah, so we need to get it significantly below that so that we can address that and so we can see an improvement in the score. So that is, people definitely miss that utilization part. So, and if you don't mind, I love to throw a hack in here for our listeners. Guys, if you got high utilization on a card, get you another card so you can balance it out. The lower the utilization, you get a credit score boost. And I don't mean go get another card and go run it up now.
Okay, can the other word be discipline? If we're talking about preparedness, discipline.
Yeah. I need to call Kitty about that now. So what she'll tell you to do is say, look, get the card activated and then call me and I'll come pick it up.
And don't take a picture of the card before you come pick it up.
Yeah, don't you add that to Apple Wallet.
Exactly. It sounds like we have the same conversations. I say, well, you can cut the card up, but did you memorize the numbers first?
Look here. So I used to tell them, and I still say this on occasion. I said, look here, matter of fact, and speaking of that, so we probably need to change it up because I would say, put it in some water and put it in the freezer, put it in a jar of water, put it in the freezer. So that way, you got to wait for it to melt, or you're going to stand there and run water on it. Get your big jug, not a small one, because y'all are cheap. But you ain't gonna chip it because you don't want to mess the card up, and you ain't gonna put it in the microwave because you don't want to mess it up either.
Right.
Which means you got to sit there and run water on it for a while to get to it. But we might need to use Kool-Aid or something now in the freezer because look here, y'all trying to get to the number. Y'all don't need nothing else but the number now.
Exactly.
Y'all need to freeze some Kool-Aid. Drop the card down in the Kool-Aid jug and put the big jug into the freezer and freeze it. Yeah. Terrible. So what else do people need to do or consider it in word preparation?
All right. So one of the myths that people come with is, maybe they worked on their credit score, and so they got the good credit scores, and so they believe that because their credit is a 750, they can afford the house that they desire just because of their credit score. And so the other thing that I want them to be prepared for is a word or a phrase called debt to income ratio, DTI, which is their gross income monthly compared to their monthly debt. And so as you're preparing to buy a home, it's a good thing to know where you stand. And so the credit score just gets you in the door. It shows us your willingness to pay. But what we're also evaluating is your ability to repay. So you may be willing because you have a good credit score, but are you able to pay the loan back? And so just do an exercise, take a look at your gross income, that's gross before taxes. So let's say that you are making $3,000 a month.
Let's
In
give
a
them some more
good,
money. Let's give them some more money.
let's give them some more money.
Yeah, let's give them some more money.
In this market, we'll give them a little bit more money.
Give them some
All
more
right,
money.
I'm gonna give them $5,000 now.
There you go. There you go. Okay.
I'm gonna give you $5,000. Now that's your gross income. Let's say that you got a car payment. That car payment is $500. You're on a student loan payment plan for $100, and then all your other debt credit cards equal up to $100. So that's $500 for a car, and then $200 for the other two items. So that's $700 of monthly debt, things that are reported on your credit. And let's just say we want your debt to income ratio to be 50%. And so 50% of your gross income would be $2,500, right? We got $2,500 to spend. We have $700 already spent in your monthly debt, and then the rest of it can be left to your mortgage payment. So 2,500 subtract 700, and you are left with a $1,700 mortgage payment. So that is what you can afford now. Your mortgage payment can go up to $1,700 because you have $700 in just credit debt, and then $1,700 in your mortgage debt, which is 50% of your gross income. So that's like an exercise you can do at home.
Good deal. Good deal. Just for clarity for our listeners, guys, if you're, buying a house, you're married, who you and the spouse are purchasing. If you're not married, you and whoever are purchasing together, then, we're talking, you combine those incomes, but you also have to add, up the debts. So if you're going to combine the incomes to, essentially get to a higher number, then you also got to calculate and add in them and factor in the debts appropriately to get to where the debt ratio will fit and support what it is you're trying to do. And that's probably one of the, obviously the credit, pieces. I mean, it is what it is. And, we've been running through that, Lord, for years. But that's the other thing. I have clients now that I'm working with that, well, hey, I pay my bills on time. I do this, I do this. Yeah, but you got 13,000 car payments and this thing and that thing, all this revolving debt that makes it difficult, if at all possible, to fit a house payment into. So if you're putting out that much money on revolving debt, then where does the house payment fit into that? Because it doesn't fit. You got to pay off some of this debt. You got to get rid of, look, yeah, I'm old school kid. Look here. Hey, look, that car need to disappear. I don't know who you know. I don't know about it, but that car need to disappear. They need to find that drive downtown. Well, matter of fact, you can't drive. I ain't gonna say drive downtown, but drive somewhere and forget and leave it running and go somewhere for a while. And if it's still there, then it was meant to be. But if it ain't, then
let's just get that letter.
Guys, I'm kidding. Don't y'all leave your pick up. But it's the same concept though. You gotta look at it and say, okay, look, and this is real. So I know you know this. There are people that I know that you run into that have vehicle payments as high as or higher than what their house payment is or would be,
or what they want it to be.
Or what they want it to be, but they have a vehicle that prevents them from even buying a house.
Yep. And you know what? As we talk about credit and then going into the debt to income ratio, what I'm seeing more often and what I'd just like to reiterate is that people are getting better at credit. They're getting better at knowing what to do. They're working with people and fixing their credit, but then they get their credit up enough and they go buy a car first. Like, I don't know how many times I've seen it. Of course, in the last year, I see people within the last year have got a car. But I mean, as recently as probably about 3 to 6 months before applying with me, they literally have a car in 2022. And I'm like, this car is $650. Like, that's, and I see it and I don't even know what to say or do.
it's almost like, before you take on the client, you got to go on Facebook and find them and go back about 6 months and see if you see them standing there taking a selfie with the car in the background with the bow on it, talking about they bought it, talking about they got a 22 and 22. You know what I mean? So that's what they do. And it's I'm sorry. I'm look here. Lord forgive me. Lord forgive me. But real talk though, because that's
Mhm,
what it is. Like you said, you going out and getting a car instead of purchasing the house. And I get it. I'm always reminded, I share this story of a lady. She met me at a home buyer workshop years and years and years and years and years ago. And at the time she's ready to buy, what have you, this year, that, and the third. Fast forward a couple of years, okay, she's ready to buy. But she comes into my office, and when she comes into my office, granted, in the workshop, we had the similar conversation, not what the things not to do, all that kind of stuff, right? So she
mhm,
comes into my office and she happened to be under contract on a house already. And I'm like, well, first of all, you want me to help you? You already in something. I mean, what am I to
mhm.
do? But she, well, hey, can you help me? I'm like, well, tell me what's going on. Explain it. So she didn't have an agent, but she was already in the middle of a transaction. And about a month or two before she bought this house or closed on the house, she bought a car. And then she no longer qualified because her debt ratio was thrown out of whack completely.
Mhm.
And I talk about this because we have to be careful, because that will prohibit you
Yep.
from qualifying to make a home purchase.
Serious
Thank you.
for
So
sure.
thank you. So that is one of the things that you want to make sure that people kind of have an understanding of, and in turn work on. You want to
Mhm.
make sure they have, I mean, you got to have an understanding of it, guys. I get it. You want to have the car. And oftentimes we've got to get out of this mindset and mentality of we got to show off and we got to show people up.
Yeah.
We've got to get off that. And I don't know where that came from. I guess, that kind of goes back to the preparation. The preparation. We got to be prepared
Mhm.
in our mindset. We have to change that, because oftentimes we've had clients that we work with over the years that are so intent on buying a house the bigger than the one their friend bought so they can
Mhm.
start, that they either overload themselves with debt, or they don't buy what they could buy because, well, my friend house is bigger than that. I got to have at least this. And you in a house, you by yourself, but you got
Mhm.
to have 3,000 square feet of a house, just you. Ain't nobody
Listen.
wanting it with you, just you. Just, just,
Listen.
just so you can say, I know you. Look, I know you know.
Listen, when I tell you it is an ongoing conversation, the thing is, what we have to understand is that everyone's situation is different. Every profile is different. That person that just bought that house, they're not telling you everything that they went through to get to that house. Like,
Mhm.
you may see someone literally working the exact same job as you. They got a brand new car and then they bought their house, but somebody might have signed for that car and they not even on it. So
Look
you
here.
can't try to match tit for tat. That's not how it works.
Look here. I'm gonna give you something that you sure enough ain't thought about. You know what? They could be spending somebody's life insurance money. They could
Okay.
have had a loss. You see what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? They could have went through
Right.
something to get there, and you don't know that because they didn't share that with you. You know what I'm
Exactly.
saying? Because okay, and it's incredible to me how people think they're supposed to know everything about everybody, whoever they want to know about, and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, I seriously. So that kind of mentality is one of the challenges that I see, that I experience, and it's more and more prevalent nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
Guys, we've got to prepare ourselves for this thing. So, how can people get in contact with you? Please
You
make
said
sure.
we was going to church.
Hold on, look here. Look here. I'm sorry. Hold on. And look here. I think I just saw somebody go by a minute ago with the plate. So
Okay.
look here. Preparation. That's what we're doing. Talking about today. Preparation. But how can people get you?
People can reach me at, I'm going to give you my office number as well as my email. So my office number is 843-569-2812. You can also reach me via email at sleblanc, which is SLEB as in boy, LANC at pnlending.com. I'm also on Instagram and Facebook at Loans by Keila, Kelia.
Awesome. Awesome. So let's back up a little bit. You've given, I believe, our listeners some solid information today.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, I want to thank you for doing what you're doing. And I want to do that here. I don't know why, but I'm doing it. But I want to thank you for what you're doing, because I know that the work is easy when, for our listeners, guys, y'all please bear with me for just a moment. It is easy, and everybody wants the easy loans. Everybody wants the person that's got 800 plus credit score,
Mhm.
has tens of thousands of dollars in the bank for down payment, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars in the bank for down payment, and is buying a $500,000 or $1 million plus property. Okay, everybody wants those loans.
Right.
But there are some people in this industry, guys, that will commit to working with you no matter. And Kelia is one of those. You're one of those that will
Definitely.
commit to working with you no matter, no matter what your financial situation is, no matter what your demographic, no matter anything. There is no discrimination that I found or see. None. You are a lender that works with all people.
Yes.
And while I know that it is easy to say, okay, well, look, that's what equal opportunity says. I got to do this housing and all this stuff. You know, the little house and all that stuff says I'm going to do that. There's people that do it with disdain. There's people that do it with joy. And you're one of the ones that do it with joy. So keep doing,
Appreciate that.
keep doing what you're doing. So
Thank
for our
you.
listeners, guys, we've quickly come to the end of today's show. I want y'all to make sure, I want y'all to run her email amok. Okay. I mean that. Questions she is going to answer, she'll get back to you. But I want you to reach out and let her know, one, that she's doing a wonderful job in our community. But most importantly, I want you to patronize her. I want you to reach out and let her know, hey, I need some help, because you need some help, guys. And you got the right one right here. We're going to take this old school with Ray Charles, and remember the Pepsi commercial. You got the right one, baby. That's what we're going to do. We're going to take you back. You ain't even old enough to remember that.
I'm trying to think.
Yeah, you remember that commercial, but go look it up. Or yeah, Ray Charles, and I think that was a Pepsi commercial. You got the right one, baby. That's what we're gonna do. What we gonna say about you. So, guys, to our listeners, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for making Exit Strategy Radio Show, quote unquote, the best real estate show in the land. We love you. We love you. We love you. And we're gonna see you guys out there in those streets.